This ZeroNow program is brought to you with the support of our founding partners.
I'm just one person.
Determined.
Bring us back to zero.
I'm just one person.
Determined to bring us back to zero.
I am just one person.
Determined to bring us back to zero.
Hi, I'm Hannah Brody, and I'm a student correspondent with ZeroNow. Today, I'm talking to Brandon Rhone, who has a plethora of jobs that he has worked in for campus safety. Could you elaborate on all the work you've done for campus safety?
Sure. So I've been in law enforcement for the past, I've been in safety, public safety for the last 20 years, actually 21 years. The majority of that time was spent in local law enforcement, in school safety and as an SRO and so on and so forth, and some other of that time was spent as a national trainer and director of training for school safety platform organization.
That's super cool. So what companies exactly have you worked for to further campus safety?
So a company called Navigate360, which I'm sure you're very familiar with, a widely world-recognized organization that has solutions for all your safety needs, from visitor management, emergency management, VMS, EMS, active threat, behavioral threat assessments. You name it, we kind of do it.
So what got you into being so passionate about campus safety exactly, besides it being obviously a big issue?
I've just, through my career as a police officer and being in an SRO and supervising the SRO, School Resource Officer Division, educational safety became something that I just became very fond of. I will freely admit that I was never big on educational space prior to as a student. School for me was a central location to hang out and catch up with my friends. But as I began to work in that space, it became a pretty clear passion.
Yeah, so obviously campus safety is something that we need to further more and more because it impacts a lot of people, as students are a big population. So what are some of the challenges that you faced when trying to deal with how big of a problem that is?
There's always challenges like finances. How do you pay for increased security from a resource standpoint? How do you pay for hardening of a space? There is challenges of politics and getting, if you're dealing with a board of directors or executive board, to get them to see it the same way you do as a specialist in the business. So challenges always pop up, but certainly folks seem to be able to try to navigate those waters to do what's best to keep people safe.
Yeah. So what locations have you worked in to help campus safety? Because I'm curious of what the different challenges and different, not perks, but different resources offered based on location.
I've been all across the country in various locations, and I will tell you, based on some of those locations, those challenges are different. Some of those challenges are unique to geographics, right? Like what's around you. Some that are in more urban areas, and some that are in more rural areas. And those two different locations pose their own challenges as to how you go about making sure that all of the folks that enter a particular educational premise are safe.
Yeah. So in terms of demographic, I know you tend to obviously work with all campus safety, but is there one demographic higher education, high school? Is there one demographic that you gear more of your work towards, or no?
I spend the majority of my work in the K-12 space.
That's super interesting. So I'm obviously a college student, but I've obviously gone through the K-12 system, and I'm aware that obviously I went to a really large high school, so I know that going to high school there's sometimes that fear of oh, what if something happens today? So I really appreciate all the work that everyone does to lessen that fear. However, as a college student now, I want to get more involved in campus safety. What are things that you're hoping future generations do? in terms of furthering it?
I hope folks, take a look at, things that they can do to enhance their own personal space, right? Understand the value of situational awareness. Understand by that one little, I'm just running out to my car, so I'm going to prop this door open, and it's 5 seconds, right? A lot of things can happen in those 5 seconds. And so, being responsible for your own personal safety, but also doing the small things to enhance the safety of everyone else really goes a long way.
Yeah, so for your companies, like, obviously I know Navigate360 is the one that you work a lot towards. I saw that you also work with the Pennsylvania schools. What exactly do you do for them? Is that also with Navigate360 or?
So I do a lot across a lot of different platforms. I serve on different organization advisory committees and different task force around school safety. I kind of have my hand in a lot of different things in and around the state and quite frankly in and around the country. And all in efforts to help public safety, right? Folks
Yeah.
be safe, whether they're at their job, their commercial space where they go to spend time with family, or they're in an educational facility, even in your house of worship. So, really it's just about, public safety in whole, even though the majority of my work is spent in the educational space. It's really life lessons. You think about, fire drills. If I were to ask you, what would you do if your clothes caught on fire, what would you say?
Yeah.
Right? Stop, drop, and roll. It's become a staple in every kid's life. As we sit here and talk towards the end of October, it's Fire Prevention Month all across the country, and 5-year-old kindergarten students are learning stop, drop, and roll, and they'll participate in fire drills, and they'll take that with them all their adult life. And safety on the other side of the spectrum has to become somewhat the same.
Yeah. So would you say that like your work with schools in terms of like that's more interactive than your work you did with Navigate360, like more behind the scenes?
I would say it's all kind of in the same pot. When you look at the work that gets done, at the local level with a local law enforcement or a school safety committee or a school resource officer or a school police officer, to work that gets done on the national level, coming in and providing a service to a particular educational organization. It's just a matter of resources, right? And so we're a resource to provide some of that expertise in the field for others.
Super cool. I also saw that you used to work for the Alice Training Institute, correct?
Yep. So Alice Training is a part of the Navigate360 platform. Once it when it was no longer its own standalone organization, and so Alice Training focuses on active threat training and response at the civilian level.
Super cool. So in that situation, do you train others to be prepared for that, or?
Absolutely. Mostly it's, folks within a particular organization get the training, right? And it just kind of festers out like through just conversation of, folks who go through the training and talk about their experience with the training. And sometimes that gathers or fosters others to receive the training.
That's amazing. So my final question is actually about the technology aspect, and it's how do you hope the technology advances, and what do you hope to do with that technology once it's advanced?
Technology is a really good thing, but also if used in the wrong way, it's a really bad thing. So, I just hope that technology is going to always advance, and I just hope that as it advances, people use it for the appropriate reasons. And not the inappropriate reasons.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Have a great one.
You too.